think you ought to know. About men's radio. The place where men and women really speak. Oh man, what a show. It's men's radio. This crazy show is on 3 times a week. Now Russ and Phil are there to help with all your cares. We laugh, we cry, we talk like grown-ups do. But if you're sad and low, it won't cost you no dough. And radio, that's the place for you. With Russ Kane and Phil Dave.
Not our top figures, all right. Out of Unit 1 into Unit 2. And how about a little bit of Mr. Phil Dave, all right? And Dave D, Dozy Beaky, Mick, and Phil, all right?
It's Dave D, Dozy, Beaky, Mick, and Schwitz, I tell you, that's for sure. I have been running like you would not believe. Good grief. I'm so sorry.
Why?
Okay, well, I was desperately trying to make it back in time for the start of the show, and I think I managed to succeed, hence not speaking to you beforehand.
You're in Monaco? You back in Monaco now?
No, I'm actually back in the marvellous land of Hertfordshire, and I'm terribly sorry that I look a bit dishevelled. But you see, I've got the family coming over later, you see, for Rosh Hashanah.
What,
and I'm afraid that...
Buy you a tie?
What, sorry?
What are they going to do? They're going to buy you a tie? What's the deal?
What, do I need it? What, any more than you're wearing one?
We got a huge show.
I haven't finished telling you why I'm out of breath yet.
Jesus, I'm losing the will to live. Hurry up.
Well, then hurry up yourself if you're losing the will to live.
Well, I can't hurry up myself. I want to hear first.
Anyway, so what I was trying to say is that sort of unfortunately I agreed to have the family over for dinner this evening, which is absolutely fine. But of course, a wee bit of pressure because it's Rosh Hashanah, Jewish New Year to you and me. As a result of it, I thought I've got to be a little bit out of my way. I can't just get takeaway, so I've decided to cook. So this afternoon I'm going to do a whole lot of cooking, but I had to buy the ingredients. But I was meeting a friend for breakfast this morning, and then I had to go to work at 4 a.m.
I hesitate to. I don't even know why I'm asking. Look, she's in from Los Angeles, right? I rarely see her. We work together 5 days a week for at least 9 very, very happy years. She's my chum. Love her loads. The one, the only, Cara Noble.
Wow.
Oh, hi.
Now I've got silly headphones on. Do I need them or shall I just take them off?
No, you need them.
I can't hear you very well.
Well, otherwise you have to listen to Phil.
Cara, I would suggest you're doing yourself a favour to not hear us very well.
Oh, well, I hear you. I can hear you, but I can't hear myself very much. It's a little bit weird, but
the big excitement.
If you don't mind saying, it's very nice to have a professional broadcaster in the ranks.
Oh, no, I don't.
That's my pleasure, Phil. I'm here. I'm 3 times a week.
We're all good.
Cara, are you in a hotel?
Yes. I am. Oh. You can tell, can't you?
Are we allowed to know mystery location? Not necessarily hotel, but just mystery location.
Well, it does look very high end, doesn't it? It's a very posh hotel.
It's gorgeous.
It's
fabulous. To be honest.
It used to be called the Swiss Cottage Hotel. Now it's the Best Western Swiss Cottage. It's actually quite.
It's gone up in the world.
A little bit. Well, maybe, but it's a rather sweet little place. I mean, they don't have air conditioning, that's for sure.
No, don't worry, Russ and I don't have air conditioning. Well, we are respectively.
Well, that would be ridiculous. Obviously, we don't air conditioning. we got nothing here. Right, so we've got a packed show. Now, you wouldn't know, Cara, that every other Friday we have our theatre critic on.
Oh, okay,
Mr.
nice.
Jonathan Baz. Oh. And as an extra plus, we have an exclusive interview with someone I think that you admire as a writer, Julie Burchill.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Oh, she's sensational.
But it is good, isn't it? Oh, and coming in from New York, which is only 3,500 miles from where you live. Morning, guys. And Cara says Elizabeth Green.
Morning. Hello.
Yes, in Manhattan.
It's still morning to you, Elizabeth. It's now afternoon where we are.
It is. Now, Cogs, tell us what you've been up to before we bring on Jonathan and his fabulous reviews.
Oh,
what have you been doing?
I'm here because of my cousin Ian, 93, lives in Belsize Park. Completely doolally. He doesn't quite know who I am, but he does. He loves me, but he doesn't really know why. So I'm here to see him.
That's a bit like all of us, though, Cara. To be honest.
No, well, He's not alone there. Cara, he's not alone there. We love you, but we don't.
We're not really sure why.
Just do.
So yeah, that's why I'm here.
It's been many years, but we don't.
And I actually brought my boyfriend with me. Crossing the channel.
I know he's there,
so the
Phil.
government put her up.
Graham Pack says, to anyone listening to this and can't see it, Graham Pack says, has Cara come over on one of the boats crossing the channel? And is this where the government have put her up?
Absolutely.
No,
in the Swiss
if that
Cottage
was the
Best
case,
Western.
I'd be in a much posher hotel.
Well,
That would be fabulous. And you'd be moaning that the food wasn't quite good enough and the room service was a trifle slow. Anyway.
Who knew that's the ticket? Who knew that was the ticket to an all-inclusive holiday? You just have to jump on a small boat and cross the channel.
It's just bloody marvelous.
We're
not going to get
into politics.
Sorry, another story. I'm sorry.
That's a tricky one. Yeah, we have a similar
Hang
thing.
on.
We don't have boats. We just don't have any borders in America.
You don't have anything. You've had 7 million people. You have had 7 million people cross into Texas, and the Texas governor has done the square root of sod all about it. Unbelievable. 7 million. Unbelievable.
Just
sits there.
Come on in.
What can I do? Come on in, everybody, with all your fentanyl. Please come in.
Scotty speaks for all of us. He says, and I quote, "Chuffin Nora." I believe that's where they say it up north. Up north.
Yes.
It's Cara Kane
Wolverhampton.
live from the cab of that tube train.
Because that's the picture I put up, because it just makes me laugh. I have no idea what we were doing, but you and I were in a proper tube train.
Please tell me
about
neither of you were
as we
actually
did
controlling that train.
No idea what we were doing. It was very weird.
I can't remember anything. One thing I do want to say before we bring on Jonathan, because I know he works so damn hard at his theatre reviews, and it's all good stuff, and we're very lucky to have him. And
Jonathan, stay with us. Stay awake, sir. We're nearly with you.
Jonathan's there. He's waving his way. Is one of the things. I'm going into slightly dangerous territory, but play along.
What, talking about the small boats crossing?
Play along, Cugs. It's this. Is that people think that when we did the breakfast show on Capital all those years ago, that we were just faking it, but really it was pretty much, not in every case, I grant you, pretty much what you saw was what you get when the cameras, God listen to me, when the mics were off. It was pretty much it.
Yes,
that's why we've remained friends.
Gay old time.
Yeah.
We always did.
We did. It was.
Oh, I remember.
It was fun.
I brought something.
And Christmas Day, we had to be. And it was a pleasure. Christmas Day, we were live in the studio on Christmas morning. Cara would bring in enough catering for if the whole of the Premier League turned up.
Presents for all the children. Oh my God.
Presents and and Terence always gave us champagne.
Yes, he went to a lot of trouble to give us something that someone left on his desk.
Well, he did that once, and so he once gave a gift. And I think Annie turned around and said, "Oh bloody hell! Look, it says to Chris, best wishes, Fred or something." It was anyway. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're in town. And you said you brought your boyfriend.
Okay,
grab something. In the meantime. We know him.
I found this the other day.
I wonder what she's going to bring.
Sorry,
I'm going to bring. Oh, what is it? Is it a hat? Is it a hat? What have you brought? No, it's not a hat. What is it? It's a speech.
It's a script of some description.
Is it Is it a script?
Yes.
Oh, it's signed by both of you.
Script.
It's signed by you, Chris. Yes, Dick Tarrant.
The case of the mishaps.
And guess what? That was written. That was written by Tony Nicholson, who was a guest on my show a couple of weeks back.
Well, how lovely!
Yeah. And Tony,
yes, absolutely. We used to love these, didn't we? Loved doing these funny shows.
That's the wrong book. Yeah, hang on.
I just love the way that typewriters
have been
invented. I didn't realise.
This is Tony's.
That's not going to work on a green screen.
All right, so there we are. If you can
there
see
it
that.
is.
There you go.
I see it.
There you go. Great British quiz shows. Nice.
With a forward by somebody.
Should we have a BBC local
Chris...
radio moment? Cara, what's your favourite quiz show, would you say?
Oh, God. I actually don't watch television.
Oh.
That doesn't mean I don't.
Conversation.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. I don't have a favorite quiz at all. That's like asking me what's my favorite fish. It's like I don't really like fish.
Oh dear.
So, I'm not a great quiz girl. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right.
Oh.
Okay, will we have any better luck with you?
What, with my favourite quiz show?
Yes.
God. Michael Miles, take your pick.
Good Lord. You're aging yourself.
Good night,
The least you
goodbye,
could come and
cheerio
said
to you
Des
all.
O'Connor's take your pick.
No, I didn't like Des O'Connor's take your pick.
I mean, I like them when I was younger.
I like, I tell you what I do like. I like, although it gets a bit up its own backside, QI. I quite like QI.
Oh, I like that's not a quiz show.
Cogs.
That's for intellects, that is. That's for your posh people.
I like The Chase.
Oh, my
must
cousin
be
Ian
why
likes
I
The
like
Chase.
it.
I have seen The Chase.
Oh, I like The Chase. I love The Chase. I love The Chase. The Chase is probably, it just makes me laugh a lot.
You're
Bradley
terrible.
Walsh is a genius. Now then, did you say, by the way, you brought your boyfriend in?
I
Your
did.
boyfriend's with you? Wow.
He came with me. I know.
Was he sitting
hoping
silently in the
Been to
hotel
London
room?
before?
He went downstairs to the foyer, the rather nice foyer with a grand piano.
Oh. He's gone to play the piano.
No.
Oh.
No.
We don't probably.
He's doing his thing. He's an artist.
Let's bring on, ladies and gentlemen, our. I'm so sorry.
No, nothing. I was just going to say, I was hoping you might join us later for a bite to eat.
Oh yeah, well, absolutely. Tell them to join. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jonathan Baz. Ta-da!
Oh, look at this! It's like the great.
Hey, Jonathan.
Good afternoon, and
Here's a story.
whilst every fortnight it's always an honour to be speaking with Russ and Phil. To be actually
And by the way, Jonathan, before I forget, Jeremy Harrod says hi.
And I would say to actually be following the legendary Cara Noble is truly another.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, well, legendary that is
wrong.
true. Sadly. Hey, hi
The
there.
legend that is.
So you're a theatre critic.
I am
Oh,
indeed.
my.
I am indeed.
Nice.
Certainly by night.
Scotty, what a choice! He recalls All Clued Up with Diddy David Hamilton.
So yes, a lot to talk about, and as Russ hinted at a couple of minutes ago, first up is a piece about a play that did open in Brighton earlier this year in the Brighton Fringe by Julie Burchill and her husband Dan Raven. They wrote a play called Awful People, and it's about awful people. I rather enjoyed it back in May. It's coming back for one night only to Brighton Pier, the end of the Pier show next week. I caught up with Julie a few days ago to talk about the play, and hopefully, Phil, if you press the right button, you can.
Thank God for
all
Phil.
hear what we discussed.
Let's have a listen, shall we?
Oh, I like her. She's fabulous.
I'm
She is good.
here with Julie Burchill and her husband Dan Raven, and they've recently premiered a play in Brighton, and it's coming back to Brighton. In fact, it was there in the Brighton Fringe. The play is called Awful People. It played for a week earlier this year at a sold-out venue in Brighton, and it really is all about awful people. It's a morality tale for our time, as I described it then. It very much looks at those amongst us who look at the immigrant community as perhaps being there to serve us for low wages. And sort of with that, and it lasts an hour and a quarter, which is always good in my book. It gets in and out with a bang. And I'd really like to hand over to Julie and Dan to briefly say what it's about and where the idea for writing it came from.
You can go first.
Well, it's about, as you kind of said, it's about a certain type of awful person who, because they've got progressive views or what they consider to be progressive views, feel that it gives them license to treat everyone they encounter like servants, basically. And, it's also to do with this delivery culture that we've got at the moment, where, it's almost like the last days of Rome. You've got people lounging around, the free men lounging around while the serfs, the slaves bring all their sweetmeats, etc. And, to that extent, Yeah, go on, you go.
Well, I've never thought of it that way, but it's quite good. I think there's a lot of people who identify as good, and they're very bad people. And it's about people like that. It's based around a real incident about a very, very young man dealing drugs to some very rich left-wing people. But that's only a tiny incident, and it grew from that. And I'm very, very pleased with it. And the title is Daniels. And some of the best lines are Daniels.
Thank you.
I mean, they are awful people. They're a couple, India and Seamus, though I love the traditional way in which you've spelt Seamus in the script, which
Yes.
Is that Celtic or Gaelic, where that spelling comes from?
Just pretentious, I reckon.
mean, we looked up, Gaelic names, I think, at the very beginning. But I was almost kind of convinced, because we didn't actually, it was only briefly looked. I keep thinking it actually that means Angus.
Well, you don't need to bring your notes
and
to
the
the
website
public
we were
forum,
looking at
Daniel.
was just made a mistake.
Well, no, don't say that in public. We didn't make a mistake. It was intentional. He got it mixed up because he's so pretentious. He mistook Celtic for Gaelic.
Yes, that's right.
That's what happened.
And they really are quite awful. They have a very, very, their plays. Is it the same cast that's coming back to the Brighton production?
Yes, certainly, yes.
Excellent. Those two awful people are played by Seth Morgan and Deborah Khan. Is that how I pronounce it? Deborah Khan. And they have staying with them, billeted with them, a refugee, Galina, from Eastern Europe. And she's from Ukraine, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, originally we thought we would keep it vague, so that it wouldn't be sort of dated, 5 years' time. But actually, it turns out there's so many references in it that probably will be dated in 5 years' time anyway.
Well, it's not going to be performed in 5 years' time. That's why this is the last outing for her, I reckon. But we also we took a collection and we raised £500 for the Ukrainian war effort.
Excellent. And Galina, the refugee, is billeted. You know what struck me? Her accommodation is in their room in their very comfortable middle-class house next to the kitchen, and she's tasked not only with the household's domestic chores but also providing care to the toddlers. So she's clearly being exploited ridiculously by these ghastly couple who can barely bring themselves to look after their own children. And for me, as regards Galina, the refugee character, the killer line in the play, when one of the little kids is poorly, Galina says, let me help, I'm a doctor. And the response of India, the awful mother, is, you're a doctor, you never told us. And Galina's reply is, well, you never asked.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is absolutely spectacular. That
was one of
mine. For really showing how people can be blinkered and not look beyond the very narrow fields of vision that they've got. Making up the quartet is... Sorry, go on, Julie.
Once people identify as good, they can do anything, and they still won't see it as a bad action because it's coming from a good person. That's why people like that are so malign and so horrible. If I do something bad, and I do, I identify as bad, so I know I've done something bad. But once you identify as good, you brainwash yourself, and then you're quite dangerous.
The fourth character in the play is a Deliveroo driver, Gideon, played by Joseph White, who really, again, sort of highlights this dependency of this couple on delivered food, etc., etc. And it just drips in money being spent on people being there to serve them. Dan, as you said, do you think, Julie, you joked that the play won't have a future. Do you think it should have a future?
Well, I'd like that, but we're already on to the next thing, really, our Marilyn play, and I'm very interested in that now.
I think personally I mean, Julie's very much, has obviously focused on the future and on the next thing. But I personally think it would be a shame not to try it in London, somewhere small, like where Julie's had her last one.
But Jonathan, it's like
it
you
has
said.
more relevance in London anyway, to some degree,
But Jonathan, it's like you said, we're making fun of the very people who go to the London Theatre. So that's like, they will be cross and they won't come.
Well,
When
they
they
might
came to
come out
the
of morbid
Brexit
curiosity.
rally,
Not all of them, but a lot of them. I think you're right. You are making fun of a lot of them. You're making some quite pointed comments. I mean, to be fair, there are quite an aspect of people who support London fringe theatre on low wages. But I get where you're coming from the mindset of this ghastliness of the middle class. Tell me, it's on for one night at the end of Brighton Pier. When is that?
Friday the 22nd of September. It's in Horatio's Bar, which is the most beautiful space in Brighton, I think. It's got the sea around it on all sides. And it'll be a tour de force, won't it?
And
that is on the pier, yes?
Right on the pier, right at the end. It's going to be a wonderful night, a right revelay, and I'll be there buying the drinks, as usual.
I might roll these up.
You can't ask for a better plug than that. Julie Burchill and Dan Raven's End of the Pier show on Friday, September the 22nd. Awful people. Be there. It's only 75 minutes and you won't be disappointed. Julie, Dan, thank you very much.
Well.
That was great. I loved it.
Shall I let you into a secret?
Yes.
Shall I let you into a secret? That
You recorded that.
Julie Burchill and I'm a huge Julie Burchill fan. I've only met her, I think, twice in my entire life, but I've been a fan for decades. And it was my dream to write a show with her. And earlier this year, I pitched an idea. She said, I love it. Let's do it. And then she wanted it as a musical. And we were going to do the Philip Schofield, Holly Willoughby as a musical. And then we both realized two things. One, we didn't have the time. And two, that moment will have passed. But on the plus side of my one-man show, I have called it, as a little nod to that, unwise but not illegal, which was the great Philip Schofield quote. So that's the sort of, I don't know where Jonathan's gone. Jonathan's back.
He's back. He's going back in just a moment. There you go.
Jonathan, yeah.
Thank you. Right. Yes. A minor glitch. Nothing like kicking the cat, and everything's back running again.
I suggest that you could actually write the music and call it Your Cue to Leave.
Hey, we got that. That's very good. Very good.
Right. Following on from that, I've got a handful of other shows that I've seen very recently. One, and I'll start really at the bottom and work up. One that was a little bit of a disappointment was Macbeth at Shakespeare's Globe. Can't really fault the writer, because Shakespeare knows a thing or two about stringing some good verse together. And to be fair, there are a couple of decent performances in it too. Lady Macbeth, the woman called Mattie Houghton, very good. And the chap who plays Macduff, who sadly has to endure his wife and children being slaughtered. Also, a little bit heartbreaking in his performance. Very, very good. But the guy who plays Macbeth, a chap called Max Bennett, so. But remarkably, for some reason, not explained in any of the surrounding production, King Duncan has been translated into Queen Duncan.
Oh, for the love of God.
Please, I'm so bored with all that stuff. Go on.
And the other bit of...
Welcome to London, Cara. Welcome to London.
God. It's everywhere.
The other bit of gender swappery is that the three witches are played by three very beefy blokes. And when they're referred to as the weird sisters, it really is hard to comprehend.
Look at Phil's face. Look at Phil.
I can't bear it. It's ruined
everything.
It has ruined theatre.
Absolutely ruined it. I'm
you know
on the right show here.
I started off my review by referencing the fact there's a scene sort of before the interval when Banquo's ghost stalks the stage. That is something that Shakespeare did right. And I said that it's to be honest,
Banquo is trans.
Yeah. No.
No, not quite. Played by my dog Ebony.
I said it was remarkable that Banquo's ghost wasn't accompanied by that of the great Sam Wanamaker, who built Shakespeare's Globe Theatre, or indeed William Shakespeare himself, because I suspect Wanamaker and Shakespeare could well be spinning frequently at what goes on there. If you're studying it for GCSE, well, that's one of the.
You'll get a D for that.
That you're able to access. And what was a little bit of a heartbreaker was that there were at least 3 school parties on the night that I was there. Obviously, having a jolly jape of a night out in town on a coach, so that's always good fun. But sadly, the educational value of the production, I think, would have been somewhat diminished by the production values of Abigail Graham, who was the director of her production. It's not the first time I've been disappointed there. And I have to say, back in the day, there have been some stunning productions at that place. There really have been. And I hope the era of the stunning production returns.
Oh, hear from your mouth to God's ears, please.
Yeah.
We want to see a revival of Cara. I want to see a revival of The Relationship.
Oh God, don't! I listened to the music recently.
I was there, Riverside Studios. I was there.
I know.
Second
did 2
row.
weeks. I did 2 weeks.
I know. It was Cara's musical.
That's a fascinating thing to hear. Thank you about that. I'm glad you told me about that, because that would really, really annoy me if I went to see that production.
I'd think what a waste of money.
I mean, you can't do that to Shakespeare. It's just ridiculous.
Do you know what? Here's the thing, right? I actually got into an argument with someone on social media for a change. I usually do get into an argument with someone. That doesn't narrow it down very much. But I got into an argument with someone on social media when I was complaining that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the musical version of that some Charlies were played by boy actors and some Charlies were played by girl actors. And I said, in no uncertain terms, in the book, Charlie Bucket is a boy. Okay, you can't escape from that. That is the character Roald Dahl. Now, don't get me wrong, we can get into a whole debate about Roald Dahl. We don't need to do that. But one way or another, his books are stuff of legend. No, but his books are stuff of legend. You'll never take that away from me. He might not have been a very pleasant person. But to many children, especially at my age when growing up, it was just everything to us. And to turn around and to, for want of a better term, defecate over his work like that. And I got into such a row with someone on social media saying, who says it can't be played by a girl? Well, kind of the book. If
the
you
writer.
Read that, the original writer.
The writer said, the person who created it.
And they said, there's nothing stopping, there's nothing wrong with it. You're sexist, you're this, you're that, the other. I said, no, I'm just true to the original works. It's not being sexist. It's exactly the same way that I wouldn't want to see Veruca Salt played by a boy. It's not a male, it's not a female character. But anyway, so it's ridiculous what's happened to theatre. It's very, very depressing.
It is depressing.
Jonathan, for heaven's sake, man, cheer us up.
Next, right. Let me cheer you up.
It used to be fun. Let's just get this fit.
Last night, I was at the Southwark Playhouse, which with this particular theatre is located in between Borough Tube Station and Elephant Castle Tube Station, to see a fringe production, because that's what Southwark Playhouse produced, of Police Cops, the musical. I went curious, knew very, very little about it, other than this show has been around for years. And I was absolutely amused, entertained from start to finish. A genius piece of fringe musical theatre spoofing America of the 1980s, the TV cop genre, action movie stuff, written, performed, directed by 3 brilliant young men, Zachary Hunt, Nathan Parkinson, and Tom Rowe, accompanied by 2 women who support them, who aren't involved in the creative side of things, Melinda Orengo and Natasha Bustamante. But the show is just, it's so witty. The physical comedy is very, very imaginative. It's put together on a modest budget, but what they do in terms of improvising babies with dolls, a ridiculous scene that involves a gingham tablecloth that appears to hang in midair, and the wrestling, the Mexican wrestling scene, had me in hysterics. The songs are good. Luckily, the politics of the piece are not a woke picket line, which is also a breath of fresh air.
Oh, God, yes.
And not only is it a fabulous production that's very funny, it also, at Southwark Playhouse, only costs you 30 quid top price. So one of the advantages, and listen, not all that goes on London's Fringe is very good. This happens to be very good. Well worth the £30 ticket price. It's only on for a month. It's on until the 14th of October. It's a fun night out. It's a little bit rude. It's a little bit cheeky. It's not really for the kids, but it's very funny and it's brilliantly performed. And these guys deserve the support and the acclaim that they're getting.
Nice.
The final piece that I'll come to is a very charming night out I had at the theatre on Wednesday of this week with Mr. Russ Kane himself, where we went to the...
I can hear those two words put in the same sentence.
I can hear you, Phil. I can hear you perfectly clearly. Thank you. I can hear you.
You can't hit me today. Anyway.
The Adelphi Theatre to...
Cara, I've got to interrupt. Jonathan, hang on. Jonathan, I have to tell Cara this because Phil is always extremely rude and to the point and cheeky, right? Knowing that he's the other
rude. Do you
side
mind?
of London, wherever I happen to be. Except, well, you know what I'm saying. Except for the time that we were broadcasting, we just ended up lockdown, and we were broadcasting from the Soho Whiskey Club. So he started, and he suddenly thought, "Oh God, I'm sitting right next to him." He completely forgot.
You've never seen me be so nice to Russ ever.
He completely forgot. Bless him. Right. He was so polite. It was so suddenly polite. It was worrying. Jonathan Baz, we're at the Adelphi Theatre, beautiful theatre, and
Back to the Future. I saw it when it opened. They've now rolled out a fresh cast. I think it's been going. It's in its third year possibly. But
and the tickets are very cheap if you go to that theatre site online.
Sure,
right now.
online you're going to get some great deals from the box office in advance. It's not quite so cheap. Top price is 150, though it does drop down to cheaper than that. And I don't know if you're sitting in the gods, it's somewhere up to 50 quid in the gods.
Well, how was it? Because I wondered, maybe it's fucking great.
Lovely.
I don't know.
It's lovely.
Is it?
We all know the movie as a classic, and it's a tough gig to take a classic movie and translate it onto the stage brilliantly. It's quite easy to do it to an average level. To do it brilliantly is class, and this production does it.
Am I allowed to say, Jonathan, am I allowed to say it's one thing straight away that springs to mind? When you say that they've changed the cast, please tell me that doesn't include changing the guy who played George McFly, because he was superb. He had him down to an absolute T.
He was fantastic.
So interestingly, I can't recall if the guy who's playing George McFly is a new replacement or not. I need to reference back to my original review. The current guy is Oliver Nicholas, who's actually incredibly making his West End debut in the role. And
unbelievable. He was so good.
Having seen the production then and seen it now, he is as good. He is brilliant. His physical comedy, fantastic. The way he absolutely transforms as a character. And when he finally delivers, sorry, spoiler alert, when he finally delivers that knockout blow to Biff the bully, the whole audience are almost on their feet cheering him. They believe in him that much. It's lovely. There are bits of the show.
I was so knocked out by this guy's. I was so knocked out by this guy's performance. By chance, his agent was on Facebook making some comments, and I said, "Please congratulate him." I don't know who he is. I've never seen him before. In fact, I didn't even know the agent properly. He said, "Oh, yeah, absolutely." Well, he was terrific. The whole cast. There wasn't one weak link in the whole cast.
In a rare moment, I'm going to mention the casting director, or it's his company, David Grindrod, who really has done a brilliant job in casting this production. As I walked in with Russ, and Russ looked at the poster, and the chap who plays Doc Brown is now Corey English, who is a replacement from the guy who was Roger Bart originally when the show first opened in the West End. Chap called Corey English, who's a fairly well-established musical theatre performer, comes from America originally, so he understands Americana.
New York.
Russ looked at the poster and said, well, that's not Christopher Lloyd. And Corey English has a massive role to fill because we all remember the madcap brilliance of Christopher Lloyd. And I have to say, within a few minutes of coming on stage, Corey English makes the role his own.
Killed it.
Nice.
Killed it.
Whilst we all still have our fond and amazing memories of Christopher Lloyd's brilliance, Corey English owns the role, makes it his own. It's a brilliant touch. The show has given him the 3 most zany, unbelievable numbers. At one stage, his workshop is transformed with a dozen dancers in top hat and tails who appear out of nowhere.
For no reason.
No reason whatsoever, but it adds to the story. A lovely touch about the show is that with brilliant technical standards, it doesn't take itself too seriously. It knows that it's a West End show. It lobs in some stunning song and dance routines. The end special effect, and I won't spoil it, but when there's the storm and the dock is racing to the top of the clock tower because you know the lightning bolt is about to strike, how they show him climbing to the top of the clock tower is just a work of comic genius. I'm not going to say what it is.
Got a round of applause. That
Sold.
alone.
And can I also say
that
as well,
alone got a round of applause.
Yeah,
I got to be very honest.
That what they do with the DeLorean, I'll say no more than that. Incredible, absolutely fan-flipping.
Oh,
and
really
I would say 2
lovely.
things. I don't like musicals particularly. I really don't. And
What?
I don't.
I know he's outrageous.
I know. Get over it. And I don't like it when they take a classic film and make it into a stage play or a stage musical. And I went with great trepidation, but Jonathan was kind enough to invite me. And I thought, what the heck, give it a go. And I was blown away. It was absolutely stunning. And it got better and better and better. It was just excellent. And at the end,
doesn't
the place
drag at all, does it?
Right. No, I mean, there's not one dull scene. It's just boom. Brilliantly done. Absolutely recommend it. Jonathan, thank you for inviting me.
The best part about this particular production is that there's no wokery. It's marvelous. It actually works. It's very exciting.
I mean, there are some nice political touches because it goes back to the 1950s, and the black guy who's struggling sweeping the floor at the local diner says, I'm going to make it to mayor one day, and of course we know that he does, and he's given the racism of the time.
But that was in the film.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's not because they're doing it for the theatre. That was actually a line from the film. So it's not as if the theatre world has gone bonkers again and tried to just sort of say, we're going to stick it down to the evil white man. So
so bored with
but
all
it's
of
a
that.
valid.
Can I just,
but it's a very valid point. It's very valid.
Can I just tell Jonathan about a fabulous show that I saw in Los Angeles recently? It was Beetlejuice.
Again, would you like Russ and I to go?
No, you can stay.
Oh, thanks.
I was just going to say, but it's the same thing. It's a fabulous movie. They turned it into a great show. Oh my God. And you said about this boy, there's a similar thing. The girl is played by, she's brand new. She's never been on stage before. It's her stage debut. She was amazing. It just shows you that people are so talented. The talent just grows and grows. And musicals are an extraordinary genre.
And when it's done well, I mean, coming to London in a couple of weeks is another production of Sunset Boulevard that Andrew Lloyd Webber, Don Black, and Christopher Hampton, they took Billy Wilder's movie. I mean, because of course the show first opened, 30 years ago on the West End. They took a classic movie, and it was a mega movie, Sunset Boulevard, with Gloria Swanson, Billy Wilder's brilliant script and direction, and they turned it, in my opinion, into a very, very strong show. They recognized the humanity of the piece, the tragedy of what Gloria Swanson is going through. And I think it's one of Andrew Lloyd Webber's most fantastic scores. Some of Don Black and Christopher's lyrics are just absolutely hit the spot. That's opening in a couple of weeks, and I hope to be talking about it in a few weeks' time. But that wraps up my contribution today. So thank you very, very much for having me on.
Well, that was so great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go to.
Thank you, Jonathan. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
One musical I really wish they'd bring back.
Oh, do you
Starlight
enjoy it?
Express.
Which one?
Starlight Express. I loved it.
Oh, my friend Chrissy was in that. She played the
good.
Oh
puffy,
God,
smoky,
no.
You know.
Oh God, no.
What's wrong with you? It was fabulous. I loved it.
He doesn't like musicals. Do you have
Well,
a show called
Starlight Express? No, I didn't like that at all. But I go on.
Well, I was
Go on,
going to
Cara.
say, do you have that wonderful show called Schmigadoon? Do you have that here on your TV? Schmigadoon?
No.
It's like a parody of musicals. Jonathan would love to hear about it. It's just if you like musicals, it's just got everything going for it. It takes off all the shows you've ever seen in your life.
Schmigadoon.
Schmigadoon, and then Schmicago is the second season. Anyway, you don't have it here. It's very sad. I'm sorry for you.
I don't think it's your fault we don't have it. Thank you.
It's not.
I loved Chicago. I thought Chicago was great.
Yes.
I thought Chicago was fine. Would you be tempted to go back on stage, Cara? Would you be tempted to go back on stage?
No, I don't think
Oh
so.
my goodness me. You know what you have to do? You've got to rename Jonathan's section.
What?
Call it All That Baz.
Oh, nice one.
Oh, that's really good. I like, yes.
That's very good.
See?
All that
Very
baz.
good.
I like that a lot. That's good. So, what? So you're over here for your cousin Ian, right? You're
And
over
also
here for your cousin Ian, and then how long?
And I'm showing my boyfriend Todd the town. We did Hampstead last night. He's in love with Hampstead, because here we are in Hampstead. Yeah. And
are you going to go to the South Bank at all?
I don't know. That is south of the river, dear. We have that joke.
I'm
only joking.
I love the South Bank.
River.
I know it's all very good up there now. I know. I don't know South of the river. I'm a North London girl.
No, but it's
I think we're going
fantastic now. I was the same. I thought if I cross Waterloo Bridge, I'm going to die, but I didn't.
I know.
It's wonderful.
It is amazing. Maybe
Brilliant.
when we
the
get
South
back,
Bank
we
is
might.
a sensation.
And they've extended the borders now,
Has he
so
been
you don't actually need your passport when you go to the South Bank anymore.
I know.
It's also like the London Schengen Agreement, where you don't need to have a passport.
No, never been to London before.
Wow.
And so
he's never been to London before.
And we're also going to go to Nice in a few days' time. We're going to Nice because I miss Nice so much. And because I had a place there, but I sold it when COVID came. I just panicked, and I'm glad I did. I've put the money into my own home. I'm building what we call an ADU in my garage, which is an additional dwelling unit. It's a little house.
Oh.
So in my home in LA, which Russ has been to, I'm building a little house in my garage.
Oh. Is that for me?
So,
to just live there quietly?
You can.
Just to live there quietly for the rest of my days.
Yes,
churning out books.
$3,700.
You'll never live quietly. Don't be silly.
I'm so sorry. I'm just getting it to a price. I couldn't quite hear. It would only cost you what?
Well, it will be like probably $3,500 a month.
Right.
And it's going to be. It's a 2-bedroom house. It's very nice.
God. No, I know. Your home's very nice.
You can stay in my spare room anytime. You know that.
It's like when I found out the cost of hearing aids had gone up. I just said,
yeah, you're kidding. I have to say something. I owe a lot to Cara, but really to Cara's father, the great Peter Noble.
Yeah.
And I will tell you why. Because when I've told this many times, but I don't have the opportunity often with you there in the room, so to speak. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with just listening to radio. I much preferred radio. I loved it. And Peter Noble, that you will remember, Movie Go Round. And I was obsessed, never thinking I would ever meet Peter Noble and his wife Marianne Stone, let alone work for many, many, many years with his daughter. And it was that was one of the initiations of igniting my love of radio. But in Cara's house, I was it's true, but I was so excited. So I'm loving the house, and we're having tea, and we're catching up, and we're yakking. And then I go into this area, and Cara has recreated Peter Noble's office from back in the day. And it was ridiculous. I was so overexcited. pathetic, I know. But I was so overexcited. I said, can I sit in the chair? I was like a child.
Yes,
Of
his
course you can
desk.
sit in the chair. And I sat at the chair at Peter Noble's desk, and there was the old-fashioned Bakelite phone, which I talk about in my one-man show. And it was just like, it was heaven.
What was
I
it
just
made
thought,
out of foil?
This is good. Not Bako foil, you young fool rapscallion.
Bakelite.
Yeah, this is going to be it. This is
Yeah.
my new place. This is going to be my granny annex in near Woodland Hills. No,
As
you
long as you
can't
can
move.
still do
Anytime.
Sorry, I've got first dibs, Amanda. I've got first dibs. It's not too pricey.
Glossy Amanda looks just like Elton John.
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Well,
I bet she gets stopped in the street.
The
all the time.
world,
Yeah.
the world's gone mad. I mean, prices, I know it sounds terribly expensive, but my son, he has a little house he rents. It's actually quite ugly, though he's done great things with it.
What your
He
son
plays-
is?
My
I've
son.
met him.
Yeah, Nicholas Frew.
No.
His place costs $4,300 a month.
Oh,
He and his wife, now they're both professionals, thank goodness. He's
Yeah.
a freelance, though. I mean, the world has
Wow.
gone absolutely insane.
and a new
Yeah.
addition to the House of Noble, of course.
Yes.
I've forgotten baby's name.
Oh, Felix. Yeah, my grandson, Felix.
That's Felix. Yes, congratulate. It's so
Gracious.
weird
Tara
because
Noble
I've
as a
known.
grandma. Wow.
I can't.
No,
No, I
I'm
can't
not.
get over. I can't imagine.
I'm a Cugsy. I'm a Cugsy.
What? Sorry.
I'm a Cugsy.
Cugsy.
Yes, I'm Cugsy.
Of course. I've
Because
known
my
Nicholas Frew
mother
since
has got
baby.
this thing as well. She refuses to be called grandma, so she's known as Manna.
Thank you.
I
Much
thought she was
better.
just known as Mrs. L. Dave, and that's how they have to announce her. Mrs.
Well,
L.
no,
Dave
that's
is
what I
here.
have to write on the checks. But yes.
That. If you want to feel old, folks, Nicholas Frew, Cara's son, years ago on Capital, used to have a jingle, and little voice would say, "That wasn't very funny." That's a little voice.
Michael
and that-
Aspel makes you moaning. Michael Aspel makes you die. He was
and that
2
was
and a
little
half.
Nick Frew. That was little
He's
Nick
46 now.
Frew. Who's 46?
Little bastard. He's 46. How dare he?
How can he be 40? Jesus.
Biologically impossible. He's older than you are.
How's that
Yeah, that's
possible?
right. Do you know? Wow. Even I'm
Yeah.
sitting here, and logic dictates, of course, he would be 46. But in my head,
Well,
it's
no,
like,
chronological
no, he's a little
order
tiny
would
guy
say
that
that.
Cara's bringing in. Oh, man.
Little
Tell me
fella
something.
run
I'm
around the
interested.
corridor.
Yeah, I used to run around there. Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? The not as crazy as the guy who was our T-boy that went up and bought the entire radio station. That's even crazier.
Yes.
But anyway, that's another story. He really was the T-boy.
Less said about
right.
that, the better.
Precisely so. Your the boyfriend, never been to London before. What was his first impressions?
Oh, he's
Get me
loving
out
it,
of
loving
here.
it. No, he's like, look at that lovely pub, because he likes it.
Weatherspoons.
I'm going to take him
Oh,
this
heaven
afternoon to
forbid.
I think it may have been a Weatherspoon. I'm not. But it was all covered in
No,
flowers.
come on.
It was in Acton. It was a beautiful looking thing. He's like, look at that. But I'm going to take him to the Spaniards later.
Oh,
hurrah.
fantastic! Oh God, wow,
Because that's like one of the oldest pubs in England, isn't it?
pretty old.
I mean,
I think it is
Pretty
definitely the
old.
oldest pub in London, but I don't know where it stands in terms of the oldest pub in the UK. But
what, the
it's
Spaniards?
amazing. Yeah,
Is it?
I believe it is the oldest pub in London. Definitely.
I think that the one that I go to a lot is called the Mayflower, and that's right
Oh.
on the river, and that is where. And last time I was in America, I said, "Do you know why it's called the Mayflower?" And the waitress said, "Did I swear to God, yeah. Oh yeah, Christopher Columbus sailed there." I went, "No, it's in Rotherhithe. I don't think Christopher Columbus was hanging around South London. I was thinking more of the Pilgrim Fathers." Oh. Do you want fries with that? No, that's okay. So- oh, hang on.
Oh, the Queen
What have
of
we got? We
the
got the
Queen
Nag's
of
Head.
Champagne.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
she knows. Nag's
Thank
Head
you.
in Kinnerton Street.
Kinnerton Street. Okay.
Actually, Tina
Oh, you
Holt,
know
can
Nag's
you
Head.
just
Street.
can you tell us where the
Kinnerton
best place
Street.
in London to get champagne is? Where's the best
Ooh.
place you've ever had a glass of champagne? in the
Lidl
whole
or Aldi?
Yep.
Lidl or Aldi? So I was at Chantal Rickard's for dinner last Saturday, and she said, "You got to don't tell anybody," because I was acting as sort of running around like a little waiter as well, trying to help her. And
Dorchester,
champagne was fine.
apparently.
The Dorchester. Tina Holt
I'm
knows.
sure that's true.
That is nice. And you'll see if you take the boyfriend, who is an artiste, to Soho, you'll see so many changes there. Oh my God.
Oh dear, I'm
it's
a
got
little
so
depressed.
gentrified.
Oh, thank you.
So
1585. Look at that.
Spaniards in
almost tea time.
Whoa.
1585. And I always love it in the States, especially California, which was more or less the last place to get it's not, I should say civilized, but it's not. And they go, this Chevrolet dealership's been here since the 1980s. And you're like, as someone from London, you're supposed to be like really impressed. Really? The Tower of London's been there 1,000 years, mate. Your Chevrolet dealership's, 20 years old. Get over it. It is an interesting sense of their sense of history and everything. Would you ever come back to the UK now?
God, no.
Please tell me no.
No. You don't want to think about that.
I just, I sometimes think about, those sort of 6 o'clock in the evening with a bit of drizzle, the lights on the puddles, and I think, wow, I wouldn't mind doing that maybe one more time in my life. But I could not. Not
when you're waiting for an Uber or waiting for the bus to turn up. Trust me, you're getting absolutely soaked.
I was having
this
conversation actually with a friend of mine today, and he was saying about how he comes from Australia, and he was saying about how he is dreading the winter. I said, honestly, and I wouldn't mind, but bearing in mind it's quite warm here today. He was wearing a jumper, so I'm not surprised he's dreading the winter. He's probably got nothing to wear for it, but he'll probably go around like one of those Russian jackets or something like that just to survive. But I don't understand why people let the weather affect them that badly. I know that it is a genuine condition. I know that seasonal affective disorder is a thing.
Yeah,
but I don't get it. I really don't get it.
No.
Well, I bought a sad lamp. I got so fed up with it. I bought a few weeks ago a little SAD. I can never seasonal. What's it called again?
Affective disorder. Seasonal.
Yeah, I bought this lamp and I'm waiting for it to work.
Well, I must say, the sun does cheer you up. There's no doubt about it.
No, I do not deny that. That's for sure. Sun definitely cheers you up. But there is such a thing as a nice day in winter, and that's what I don't get.
What would that be, Phil? A nice day in winter is what?
Oh, it could be bright sunshine in winter. It might be cold, but it's still nice out. It doesn't have to be miserable just because it's winter.
See, that's what I miss. When I lived in America, not as long as Cara, I lived there three years, and you've been there 22. How many years? 22 years. I lived there 3 years. And it could be freezing cold in winter. The sky was brilliant blue, so you'd have to wear dark glasses because it was that bright. But it was free, but it was beautiful, and it just felt wonderful. I love that. What I can't bear is the drizzle and the grey, and it just never. Yeah.
I know. I can't.
Not for me.
But I miss lots of things, of course. London. I miss loads of things about London. But when I come here, I just have them all the food, the Indian food, the fish and chips, whatever, all that lovely stuff. The chocolate. God,
the chocolates in America are shocking. I'm sorry, they are terrible. They are terrible. And because we deal with mental health and well-being, Phil and I have had long debates just how rubbish. I'm so sorry if you're Mr. and Mrs. Hershey, but Hershey bars, disappointment. They're like, you see them in all the films. And you think, I can't wait to try a Hershey bar. I bet it's fantastic. You take your first bite and go,
no, really? Who says that?
They're awful. Hershey bars are terrible.
The worst.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is, who the heck says I can't wait to try a Hershey's bar?
Well,
when you're a
it's
kid,
like Americana. It's Americana. You think, it's going to be a big, it's American. It must be great.
And I just say, by the way, I'm feeling slightly nostalgic because today marks exactly 1 year ago since this happened. So there you go.
Go on.
So that's a photo of me on top of Kilimanjaro. It's exactly a year ago today.
Yeah.
And it's just, I can't quite believe a year has gone already.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Who would have thought he did it? But he did. Phil said to me, by the way, I'm going to be away. Cara, he says to me about a year ago, he said, I'm going to be away for a little bit. I don't know, where are you going? I think he's going to go to Tel Aviv or France or something. He goes, well, I'm climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. And I just burst out laughing because if you know Phil,
it's amazing.
Perfect,
no, but it's amazing
cravat.
The number of people who gave me that reaction. And my personal favourite is the reaction of a mutual friend of ours by the name of Petri Hoskin, who said,
"Oh yeah, Petri.
You know there are no hotels up there, don't you?" I wouldn't mind, but my reputation clearly precedes me.
Well, Phil, you are a man who is, how can I put this politely, very particular about everything. You are very particular.
Okay, but I bet you anything that Cara has standards, but I don't think you'd have a go at her.
Well, you say that. I've been to her home.
Oh.
I love Cara's home. Oh,
one of the first things I told my boyfriend when we met on Bumble was one of the things I said, well, I can be very imperious.
Excellent.
Imperious.
Imperious.
And he, being American, had to look it up.
He did.
I was going to say.
You had to look that word up, I presume.
He said, is that the old metric system?
Yeah. Hey.
Actually, he's pretty smart. I'm pleased to say. He's quite a wordsmith himself, which is nice. But yeah,
this
I do
is
miss
nice
that.
from Mrs. L, Dave. Tell me something. Am I going round the bend, which is highly likely the way things are at the moment? But did your boyfriend, whose name we cannot mention because we can't just say Jackson Pollock, we can't. Did he make a large installation by the World Trade Center? Am I going mad? I thought I saw pictures. You tell us about it.
Yeah, he did.
It looked
amazing. We actually went there last month, and we went together, and he took me to. He made an enormous mural just by the World Trade Center. Yeah.
It's a commemorative one, is it?
Well, it was. They just aren't, because they were rebuilding over the last 22 years. There's just an area that was looking very dull, so they actually asked various artists to do murals, and he did one. But you could find it online, but I don't know. I mean, I could find it for you, but fiddling with my phone on the last few minutes of the show is. I'd like you to see it.
It was very impressive.
Pretty good.
It's really very impressive. It was great. So you're here for a few days, and then off to France, and then back to California, and
we're going to do. Yeah, we're going to do a few days here, and then we're going to go to Nice. I can't find it now, sadly. We're going to Nice just for 5 days. It says there might be thunderstorms, but I don't know. I hope not. Doesn't matter if there is. I know.
Well, the French thunderstorms.
I know. That's right.
That is where the weather does affect me. Because I think to myself, I've saved up all flipping year to go on holiday. And then when I do go on holiday and the weather's diabolical, that's what irritates me. I think if I wanted rubbish weather, I could have stayed at home for free.
You could.
That's
absolutely.
True.
And put the roof down on your car and just sat in the pouring rain thinking, what the hell did I buy a convertible?
That would just make me think I'd save the money on the shower.
We're going to go to something called the Vasarely Museum. There's an artist I never heard of, but he's very into this artist. So it's like
does he do art with petroleum jets or something?
No, he doesn't. I think he might be dead. I think that's a dead artist.
Oh.
Anyway, we have to get the train to Aix-en-Provence.
You know how they say when artists die that their work suddenly doubles in price? Do you think that the value of these programs will improve when Russ and I are?
Oh, it's going to be huge. my kids are going to make a fortune. They're not. All right, we could think so.
You know what? That's
what?
Well, that people have suggested that Prince was maybe knocked off because all the work he was holding back, and the record companies would make much more money if he was dead. Those kind of things have been suggested. Some like Michael Jackson, Prince. I mean, I don't know.
Oops!
It's not impossible. When you think about it.
They made, when Michael Jackson died, they made I hate to say it, they made a fortune. Fortune. And they
How about that?
Remain to do. The trouble with conspiracy theories is everyone goes, "Oh, you're raving mad," and then a few years later they go, "Oh, do you remember when you said
that actually happened?"
Yeah. It turned out to be true. Well, there you go. He's going to be ahead of the.
Yes,
we're
they
almost
often do.
Cara, it's been so
you're
great.
An absolute legend.
Well, I tried to get it up, but nothing would try to get it up. Nothing kept.
Yay!
Site, but the pictures didn't come up. I don't know why.
We'll have to look it up. Thank you so much.
That was so fun, guys.
To anyone who's from enough Happy Jewish New Year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not. I'm only 0.2% Jewish, but
that's all right.
I'm North
so
London.
Should just do the sh of Shana Tova.
Oh,
okay.
It just come out.
I'm away. Oh, here we go. Look at this. This is fantastic. This is the mural.
We're running overtime.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Look at that.
It's
anyway,
fine,
right, we're running overtime.
Very big.
All right.
Have a great
Bye,
weekend.
everybody. Cara.
Bye, lovelies.
Bye.
Mwah.